All right, your Miami Dolphins fall to 3-1 after losing to the Bills 48-20. A lot to talk about in this game, but with the stats really quickly, Josh Allen 21 for 25, 320 yards, 4 TDs, 0 interceptions, a perfect passer rating with the 158.3. In the run game, Latavius Murray 4 for 32, James Cook 12 for 29 and a touchdown. Josh Allen himself 4 for 17 and a touchdown. In the receiving game, Stephon Diggs, 6 receptions for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. Gabe Davis, 3 for 61 and a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 27. I think Micah Hyde had an interception too. For the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, 25 for 35, 282 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This game was not on him. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. In the running game, Devon Achane, 8 carries, 101 yards, 2 TDs. Tyreek Hill, 1 for 14. In the receiving game, by the way, Raheem Mostert, 7 carries for only 9 yards. So, comparing this week's performance to last week's performance versus Denver, big time difference. In the receiving game, 3 receptions for 58 yards, 0 touchdowns for Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle, 4 for 46. Berrios, 6 for 43. Smythe, 4 for 41. And, I mean, the only player that really played well for the Dolphins was Andrew Van Ginkel, and I guess you can throw Devon Achane in there. But, man, like I said, a lot to talk about in this game. First thing I want to say, keeping some optimism. Please don't overreact to this loss. Now, it's a reality check. It really sucks, of course. It's the Bills. It's a division rival. A lot of trash talking going into this game with Bills fan on Twitter. And it sucks losing in general, especially in a game like this where you get blown out. But I'd rather a reality check come now than when we're fighting for, who knows what it is, whether it's a playoff spot or a division title or a number 1 seed in the AFC, who knows. But I'm glad that one of these losses comes now. But, yeah, man, we're 3-1 through 4 games this year. It's week 4. It's week 4. It does suck that the next time we play Buffalo is back home, of course, in Miami, but it's in week 18, so we're going to have to carry this loss until we play them for the very last game of the season. Of course, we don't know what type of game that's going to be, like impact-wise, whether it's going to be, I would love for that game to be, with the Dolphins and Bills having a tied record, and whoever wins that game wins the division title or something like that, but we'll see, because that game could literally be meaningless for all we know. But getting into this game, we'll start with the defense, because that's where we got to start. 48 points were put up on this defense. Vic Fangio was hired to be one of the best defensive masterminds in the NFL after taking a year off. Where is that defensive mastermind? Because I know the personnel is good on this defense. You had a couple players out, but these aren't players that fit in the system. We have a lot of players who have a lot of talent, but they aren't Fangio's choice, right? So Andrew Van Ginkel really shines in this system. That's why Fangio literally called him when he was hired and said he wanted to re-sign him himself instead of Chris Grier doing that. No Jalen Phillips, and I said that Van Ginkel would have to step up in the preview. That's exactly what he did. Bradley Chubb is a big question mark because after we traded a first-round pick for him with that big contract, he's been nowhere this season other than that Patriots game where he did step up, where Jalen Phillips also missed that game. The D-line with Sealer and Wilkins. Where has Christian Wilkins been all year? Zach Sealer's been playing well, nothing special, but, we gave him an extension, so he's been playing well. But Christian Wilkins, man, needs to step it up if he wants that contract. The linebackers have been playing okay. In this past game, one of my big matchups was the Dolphins linebackers against Josh Allen. Don't let him take over this game on the ground, and he didn't really do so. Like I said, only 17 yards. But that short passing game really killed us. So that's basically on all the linebackers. David Long, Jerome Baker, Duke Riley, all those guys that got playing time. The cornerbacks, there was only one guy that was getting picked on the whole game. That was Kader Kohu. He was put one-on-one with Stephon Diggs the entire game. And when there was no help for him, which sucked. That's why a lot of people have questions about Vic Fangio, because you don't want an undrafted rookie. Credits to Kader Kohu. He's been a stud ever since he was, signed to the Dolphins roster. But when you can't be put one-on-one with Stephon Diggs on an island the entire game, and he was cooking him, 3 touchdowns, like I said, 130 yards and 3 touchdowns total for Stephon Diggs. And the safeties, Javon Holland has been playing great this year, didn't have a good game at all the last game. And Brandon Jones should never start a game. We desperately need Deshaun Elliott back because Brandon Jones cannot play in coverage to save his life. On the very first touchdown of the game, the Gabe Davis wheel route, or, up the seam, whatever it was, Justin Bethel bit on that little fake dump off to James Cook, which I don't blame him for, but that's where Brandon Jones should be. Javon Holland has that whole side of the field. Brandon Jones has the other whole side of the field. Brandon Jones should have been there to prevent that touchdown. And then the one where Kader Kohu didn't really get burned by Stephon Diggs, but it was a reception for Diggs, and then he couldn't bring him down, so Brandon Jones came over to help, and he knocked Kohu out of the way, and Stephon Diggs took it 50-something yards for the touchdown. Was really disappointed in this team, but like I'm saying, it's week 4. We still got a lot of time. Also forgot to mention with the optimism part, we play the Giants next week at home, and then after that we play the Panthers at home. The Giants play tonight on Monday Night Football versus Seattle. That could realistically be a loss, which means we host the 1-3 New York Giants. I think Saquon is going to be back for the Dolphins game next week, but even if he is, it's not a huge deal. Actually, it is a pretty big deal, but I think the Dolphins are way more talented than the Giants. I think that they should be able to win that game. For the Panthers, they're 0-4, and they play Detroit this week, so that they should be 0-5 when they come down to Hard Rock Stadium. I don't see that as a loss. But getting back to this Buffalo game, the offense is not to blame for this loss. Like I said, Tua is not to blame. If you are blaming Tua, I don't really get it. The offensive line has been playing really well all year, but at the same time, Tua has the quickest release time in the NFL, so the offensive line doesn't have, a very tough job. But this week, there was good coverage by the Bills defense. They came prepared, and, the offensive line had a bigger job where they had to hold up for longer, and they couldn't really do that. Now, Teron Armstead went out. We got word from McDaniel a couple minutes ago that he's going to be out for a matter of weeks, not days, which sucks. So he's basically already confirmed that Teron Armstead is going to miss next week versus the Giants, which really sucks. Kendall Lamb played well the first 2 weeks when Armstead was out. Didn't play well yesterday, though, when he filled in for him. Connor Williams missed yesterday, too. That was a tough loss. I didn't think he wouldn't have played, but he didn't, and Eichenberg didn't look too smooth at center. But yeah, man. The offense scored the first 2 drives, and through the first 2 drives for both teams, it was 14-14, touchdown, 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 touchdown. It looked like it was going to be a shootout, but then the Bills' defense was able to get stops, and our defense couldn't get stops. So their offense would, they would mess up at times, but their defense would get the ball back for them. Our offense would mess up, but we could not stop Josh Allen in this Bills offense. Now, we have not won in Buffalo since 2016 when Matt Moore went up there and did it himself. Not himself, but he led the team to do so. And, man, like I said, I want to play the Bills in September, at home, which is what happened last year when it was hot. And it's going to be hot. It's not going to be cold in Miami unless we get a cold front in that Week 18 game. But either way, this game sucks. Now it's a reality check. 48 points were put up on us after putting up 70 the week before. But I think we learn a lot about this team, seeing how they bounce back next week, back at home versus the Giants. And, it's going to be a huge matchup because, of course, last year the Dolphins also started 0-3, but then they went to 3-3 because those 3 games were without Tua. And, this is actually Tua's first Week 5 game of his career, which is actually crazy to say. God forbid he, just assuming he doesn't get injured in practice this week. But, yeah, man, big matchup versus the Giants and Panthers these next 2 weeks. Back at home, protect home field, and yeah, there's still lots to look forward to with Miami sports. The Marlins are in the playoffs, so game 1 versus Philadelphia is tomorrow night. We'll probably have a preview on that, and yeah, disappointing game from the Dolphins, but we know that they'll find a way to bounce back, and this team's going to be good this year. So. Don't take a lot from this game. Of course, there's still a lot to take from this game because they got blown out. But it was a fair game. Honestly, all credit to the Bills. They came more prepared to play. They wanted to win this game more, and they did so. So either way, that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.